Okay, one thing you do have to worry about, of course, whenever the temperatures fall below freezing and stay that way for a while, are the potential for water main breaks. Chelsea Kulp is the Director of Communications for New Jersey American Water. They are the largest water provider in the state of New Jersey, serving over 2.9 million people in 190 communities in 18 counties. We say good morning to you, Chelsea.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Well, good to have you on. I can't even imagine how difficult it is to handle a water main break in 70-degree temperatures. When you're dealing with sub-freezing temperatures, what on earth do the repair crews have to do in order to fix that?
Yeah, so at New Jersey American Water, we were well prepared for this storm. We make ongoing investments to strengthen and modernize our system to make sure that it's more resilient during extreme weather like this and cold weather snaps. So, fortunately, heading into the weekend, our crews were on call. They were monitoring the conditions and primarily focused on snow removal, responding to any main breaks or investigations, and we were doing emergency work only. Overall, though, the system performed very well despite the challenging winter conditions. A lot of that has to do with the preparation and the infrastructure investment that we make when these temperatures drop that low.
Gotcha. And what can customers do, or can they do anything to help minimize the possibility of a water main break, or is it just the age of the pipes and the
Yeah.
temperature outside?
So right now, customers, the most common call that we get right now is actually mostly inside plumbing issues. So frozen pipes are not just can happen, in infrastructure, but primarily a lot of times in homes, and it's one of the most common and most preventable winter emergency calls that we get. So customers can do still, even though we've been in a lot of cold weather right now, leading into this week. There's a lot of great stuff that they can do, letting faucets drip very slightly, especially overnight as we go into these freezing temperatures this week. Open any cabinet doors under sinks to allow that warm air to circulate through the pipes. If you have the opportunity, if you haven't already, any exposed pipes in basements, crawl space, garages, exterior walls, insulate them as best as you can. And if you're leaving for work, and hopefully not this morning, but as we go into the week, leaving the indoor temperature of your home consistent and not lowering it too low will also help your pipes during the day. And then the biggest tip that we have customers, and we always want to make sure that they know where their water shutoff valve is in their home, just in case they do run into a frozen pipe. That is the best thing to know where it is so you can shut off that water as you're repairing or trying to unthaw those pipes.
Oh, excellent advice. I mean, I know people who go away for a week or two on vacation and they say, oh, we're going to turn off the heat. Never turn off the heat in the wintertime if you can leave on vacation, right? Lower it. You can bring it down to the low 60s, but never turn it off because you're going to come back to, well, an ice cube, your house. And I don't mean temperature, right? You're going to have broken water pipe for sure if you do that.
There's a possibility of that, Ken. I think the most important thing, if you run into that issue, if you have a frozen pipe or your water is not running, if you wake up in the morning, the first step is to find that shutoff valve and shut off the water to your home, and then allow those pipes to thaw slowly, either with a hair dryer, heating pad, or warm towels. You never want to use an open flame or a blowtorch. And then the biggest advice, as you're trying to navigate, if you run into this situation as a customer, if your neighbors all have their water, if you're checking on, if there's not, it doesn't seem like there's a large outage, it probably is your internal plumbing. You can always give us a call, but calling a plumber is probably that most efficient way, especially if you're not able to unthaw your pipes yourself.
Another little tip, if I may throw one out, the
Okay.
house that I had prior to where I'm living right now, we had the washer and dryer on the second floor, and it was built prior to code where you had to have a drain in that room. So I remember my neighbor saying, you're going to want to do something about that. I said, what do you mean? He said, if you go on vacation, and I live between here and Florida, he says, you go on vacation and the water, say your washer breaks and that water starts coming out, and that water will cascade down your steps and you will have an entire house full of frozen water. So there is a device you can get that costs like $100, and it's a sensor that goes under your washing machine. And if it senses a drop of water, it turns off the water valve. Or better yet, just turn off the water valve yourself to your washing machine if you're going to leave the house. That's the safer bet. But this
Definitely.
way, say you're out shopping for 4 hours, it could happen then too if you're home. So these little things for $100 will turn off the water and it'll save your house from a potential disaster. And you can get them at any of the big home stores. They sell them. It's a water cutoff valve with a sensor for your washing machine. I'm sure you've had calls for stuff like that over the years.
Definitely. Yeah, we have. I would say that's probably the calls that we're getting the most is from customers right now, wondering about their pipes. And some other good tips outside of your frozen pipes, because I know a lot of the snow plows have gone through the night across the state. And one safety tip that I always like to remind customers and just residents across the state, if there's a fire hydrant anywhere near your property, and especially if it was plowed through or plowed over, your emergency responders a favor and shovel away the snow around there. I know earlier you were talking about your gas meter, but the fire hydrants, being able to get that cleared away just in case there's any emergencies is very, very helpful. So we always try to encourage our customers to take that action if they're able to. And then also, if you're driving around and you see visible street leaks or hydrant damage, any type of system reporting, you can report that to us directly, either by calling us, but also we have an online reporting for emergency outages that you see in your day-to-day commute or even on your street, and that's emergency.amwater.com.
Love it. All good advice. Chelsea Kulp, I'm sure you're very busy, Director of Communications for New Jersey American Water, the largest water provider in the state of New Jersey. We thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.